So, viewers, welcome back once again to your YouTube channel. In today's video, we shall be discussing a short story from your ICC syllabus. This video is for my class 9 students, and I will be doing a story from your treasure chest book. All right, this is, as far as I remember, is the last story that is there in your ICC syllabus because we've covered the rest, I believe. All right. So it is called The Boy Who Broke the Bank. This is by Ruskin Bond and it is on page 103. All right. It's a very simple story, yet very lucid and poignant in today's world. Let's see what the story is. But before I begin, you know what's coming up next? Yes. If you find these videos helpful, do not forget to give me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It shall keep me motivated. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get started. I will be reading about the author section, Ruskin Bond, page 103. Second paragraph. The boy who broke the bank, Ruskin Bond, in a deftly worded hyperbole, shows us the damage a carelessly spoken word can wreak, problem words can create when there is a lack of communication, or rather, when there is a miscommunication, is what is going to be brought out by the story. The story is almost allegorical in its narrative. It revolves around how one person tells another that there is no money in the bank. This news spreads rapidly from one person to another, each adding his or her own interpretation. So, when you keep whatever you hear from others, you keep, relaying to the others without verifying facts, what happens? And no, this story is poignant and relevant in present times, especially why I feel because all our sources of information these days, my dear students, you will realize are basically from our social media sites. Seldom do we go to, find out things from the newspaper and news channels. So, whatever our WhatsApp University and Facebook colleges are teaching us, we are believing in that. Seldom are we doing reality check and fact check. And that is why there are so many fake news being in circulation today. So, the story is an eye opener how we should always have a fact check. All right. The opinion becomes more important than the facts, the truth get hidden and then lost. So, the story will make us realize how a mountain can be created out of a mole. Something extraordinary will happen because of nothing. Much Ado About Nothing, Shakespeare's famous play. The plight of children forced to work, the frightening effect of rumors and truths find powerful expression in this story. Let's see. The boy who broke the bank. Nathu grumbled to himself. Grumble, say something slowly in an angry manner, softly to his own self. As he swept the steps of People Nagar Bank, owned by Seth Govindram, he used the small broom hurriedly and carelessly, and the dust, after rising in a cloud above his head, settled down again on the steps. So, see visual imagery. As Nathu was banging his pan against a dustbin, Sitaram, the washerman's son, passed by. Typical, a scene of an early morning township. Sitaram was on his delivery round. He had a bundle of freshly pressed clothes balanced on his head. Don't raise such dust, he called out to Nathu. Are you annoyed because they're still refusing to pay you an extra 2 rupees a month? So for a long time, Nathu was not getting enough paid. Okay, so he have had his reservations till now. So you see, probably this man was aware of it and he's asking, are you still angry because of that? I don't wish to talk about it. He's already irritated, complained the sweeper boy. I haven't even received my regular pay, so this month's salary only he has not received. Forget about the increase in pay. And this is the 20th of the month. Who would think a bank would hold up a poor man's salary? As soon as I get my money, I am off. I'm going to leave the job as soon as I get paid this month's salary. Not another week I work in this place, and Nathu banged the pan against the dustbin several times just to emphasize his point and giving himself confidence. Well, I wish you luck, said Sitaram. I will keep a lookout for any jobs that might suit you. So he said, yes, you should do that, and I will also, be on the lookout for any suitable opportunity that is available. And he plodded, that is, walked barefoot along the road, the big bundle of clothes hiding most of his head and shoulders. At the fourth home he visited, Sitaram heard the lady of the house mention that she was in need of a sweeper. Tying his bundle together, he said, I know of a sweeper boy who's looking for work, thinking about Nathu. He can't start from next week. He's with the bank just now, but they aren't giving him pay and he wants to live. So the thing is, he just conveys to this lady that he's not getting his regular salary, so he is looking for a change. Is that so? Said Mrs. Srivastava. We'll tell him to come and see me tomorrow. And Sitaram, glad that he had been of service to both the customer and his friend, hoisted his bag, that is, lifted his bag over his shoulders, and went away. Mrs. Srivastava had to do some shopping. She gave instructions to the Aya. Aya is the baby keeper. Aya about looking after the baby and told the cook not to be late with the midday meal, that is lunch. Then she set out for the People Nagar marketplace to make a customary tour of the cloth shops. A large shady tamarind tree grew at one end of the bazaar, and it was here that Mrs. Srivastava found her friend, Mrs. Bhushan, sheltering from the heat. It was extremely hot, so she was trying to take a shelter under the tree. Mrs. Bhushan was fanning herself, that is, with a fan, she was constantly trying to get some air, with a large handkerchief. She complained of the summer, which she affirmed was definitely the hottest in the history of People Nagar. Probably in those days, they did not know about the present times when temperatures here easily reach above 45-50 degrees Celsius. And it's common. She then showed Mrs. Srivastava a sample of the cloth she was going to buy, and for 5 minutes they discussed its shade, texture, and design. Having exhausted this topic, Mrs. Srivastava said, do you know, my dear, that Seth Kovithram's bank can't even pay its employees? So, see, probably the bank did not pay only to Nathu. But the presentation which this lady is doing is that none of the employees have got their salary. So, fact is changing, imagination is coming in. Only this morning I heard a complaint from this sweeper who hasn't received his wages for over a month. So, see how you see facts are getting distorted. Shocking, remarked Mrs. Bhushan. If they can't pay the sweeper, they must be in a bad way, that is, in a bad financial condition. Actually, it is not so, but somehow the thing has been the other way around. None of the others could be getting paid either. So the logic behind is that if they are not paying the sweeper, then other employees are probably also not getting paid. She left Mrs. Srivastava at the tamarind tree, that is Mrs. Bhushan, and went in search of her husband who was sitting in front of Kamal Kishore's photographic shop talking with the owner. So there you are, cried Mrs. Bhushan. I've been looking for you almost an hour. Where did you disappear? Nowhere, replied Mr. Bhushan. Had you remained stationary in one shop, that is fixed, I might have found you, but you go from one shop to another like a bee in a flower garden. So, simile. Don't start grumbling, don't start complaining. The heat is trying enough, that is, trying enough is exhausting enough. I don't know what's going to happen, what's happening to People Nagar. Even the bank is about to go bankrupt. So, see, it was Nathu not getting paid on time. From there, it became none of the employees getting paid. And now the word of the mouth has changed, and then it has become that the bank has become bankrupt. Bankrupt is a condition where you do not have enough any money with you. You have gone into debt. What's that? Said Kamal Kishore, sitting up suddenly. Which bank? Because this was a very startling news for a small town like Peoplenagar, where all the money of all the people would be kept in one particular place. Because in those days they did not have so many options, first of all, like we have today in the metro cities. And most importantly, it was a small town, so there wasn't more than one place where people could keep their money. No, but my neighbor, why the People Nagar Bank, of course, I heard here they have stopped paying employees. Don't tell me you have an account there, Mr. Kishore. No, but my neighbor has, he exclaimed, and he called out over the low partition to the keeper of the barber shop next door. Deep Chand, have you heard the latest? People Nagar Bank is about to collapse. So, from going bankrupt to collapse. You would better get your money out as soon as you can. Deep Chand was cutting the hair of an elderly gentleman. So, see how you will realize that this is an Indian story, even if it was not told to you that it is by Ruskin Bond, with this sentence. Deep Chand was cutting the hair. We easily tell a haircut. We don't say chopping the hair or trimming the hair, no? So, this is an exact of that. Had this been any British author or American author or, South African author, they would have not written cutting the hair. So this is typical Indian English. Was so startled that his hand shook and he nicked his customer's right ear, that is hurt. The customer yelped, that is shouted with pain and distress. Pain because of the cut and distress because of the awful news he had just heard. With one side of his neck still unshaven, he sped across the road to the general merchant's store where there was a telephone. He dialed Seth Govindram's number. The Seth was not at home. Where was he then? The Seth was holidaying in Kashmir. Probably, yes, of course, it is possible because he had no business to be in town always. He was having enjoying his holidays. Little did he know that this rumor would start, and it would create so much of problem. The Seth was holidaying in Kashmir. Oh, was that so? The elderly gentleman did not believe it. He hurried back to the barber shop and told Deep Chand, the bird has flown. Seth Govindram has left town. Definitely it means a collapse. So you see how ironic this is, that this man did not do anything, he did not know anything, but then the blame has come in that he has stolen people's money and ran away. You see, in recent times, if you're aware of the news, my dear children, lot of industrialists have flown away out of India with people's money. So in those days, it was not common. But then, Ruskin Bond was, a kind of, I would say, a clairvoyant, or rather, the kind of a man the soothsayer was in our Julius Caesar. He was like that, who could predict the future. So probably he had introduced this idea. All right. And then he dashed out of the shop, making a beeline for his office and checkbook. So he wanted to take his money out, So he ran. The news spread through the bazaar with the rapidity of forest fire. From general merchants, it traveled to the shop, circulated amongst the customers, and then spread with them in various directions. To the beetle seller is your panwala, the tailor, the free vendor, the jeweler, the beggar sitting on the pavement. And now comes the most interesting part. Old Ganpat, the beggar, had a crooked leg, bent leg. He had been squatting, that is, sitting on the pavement for years, calling for alms. Alms is money. In the evening, someone would come with a barrow and take him away. Barrow is a hand driven car. He had never been known to work, but now, on learning that the bank was about to collapse, Ganpat astonished everyone by leaping to his feet and actually running at the top speed in the direction of the bank. It soon became known that he had 1,000 rupees in savings. So all these years he would sit and beg, and all the money that he had accumulated through begging was kept as savings in the bank. So he was not a beggar anymore. He was, a person with lot of money, but he just chose to remain so because it was the easiest way to earn money. Without work you get money. So you see, the story, definitely the main theme of the story is how word of the mouth, if not fact check, can create so much of havoc. But then it also come interspersed with these societal ironies that people running away, that someone running away with people's money, or these beggars on the streets who appear to be so helpless in front of us are actually not so. So, all these messages are replete in the story. We just need to be very cautious to understand. Men stood in groups at street corners discussing the situation. People Nagar seldom had a crisis because it was a small town. Seldom or never had floods, earthquakes, or droughts. An imminent crash of the People Nagar Bank set everyone talking and speculating and rushing about in a frenzy in madness. Some boasted of their farsightedness. Boasted of is again, we consider grammatically incorrect, but the author has used it. Some boasted of their farsightedness, congratulating themselves on having already taken out their money or on never having put any in. Others speculated on the reasons for the crash, putting it all down to excesses indulged in by Said Govindram. So people started blaming Said Govindram. Out of nothing, this poor man is getting all the blame. The Seth had fled the state, said one. He had fled the country, said another. He was hiding in Peoplenagar, said a third. Actually, he was holidaying in Kashmir, so someone said he's run away from the state. That again also got distorted, and someone said, no, no, not from the state. He's gone out of the country only with people's money. While few others said, Are, he's not gone anywhere. He's hiding in Peoplenagar only. We just need to find it out. He had hanged himself from the tamarind tree, said a fourth. So all kind of news, all fake news, and had been found that morning by the news sweeper boy. By noon, the small bank had gone through all its ready cash. No more cash was left, and harassed manager was in a dilemma. Emergency funds could only be obtained from another bank some 30 miles away, and he wasn't sure he could persuade the crowd to wait until then. And there was no way contacting Seth Govindram on his houseboat in Kashmir because there was no mobile phones in those days. All they could do was telegraph, and this telegraph was kind of radio messages that were being sent. It would take at least some time to reach, and that too, it was very expensive to send such messages also. And the other option that was left was to write a letter, which would take at least 2 3 days to reach. People were turning back from the counters and told to return the following day. They did not like the sound of that, and so they gathered outside on the steps of the bank shouting, Give us our money or we will break in. So they were kind of protesting. And fetch the seat. We know he's hiding in a safe deposit locker. Just imagine The imagination people could have that said Govindram is hiding in one of the lockers. Mischief makers who didn't have a paisa in the bank joined the crowd and aggravated their mood. Typical Indian scene whenever there is a jamela going on, a few of them will gather out of nowhere and they will, you know, incite the crowd. The manager stood at the door and tried to placate them. Placate is to calm them. He declared that the bank had plenty of money but no immediate means of collecting it. He urged them to go home and come the next day. We want it now, chanted some of the crowd. Now, 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 and a brick hurtled through the air and crashed through the glass window of the People Nagar Bank. So people started throwing stones also. Nathu arrived next morning to sweep the steps of the bank. He saw the refuse and the broken glass and the stones cluttering the steps. Raising his hands in a gesture of horror and disgust, he cried, "Hooligans, sons of donkeys!" Why? Because it is Nathu who has to work and clean everything up, no? As though it isn't bad enough to be paid late, it seems my work has also increased. He smote the steps with his broom, scattering the refuse. "Good morning, Nathu," said the washerman's boy, getting down from his bicycle. "Are you ready to take up a new job from the first of next month?" "You will have to, I suppose, now that the bank is going out of business." So see how the word has, traveled and come around to him only. "How is that?" said Nathu. "Haven't you heard? We will you would better wait here until half the population of People Nagar arrives to claim their money." And he waved cheerfully. He did not have a bank account and sped away on his cycle. Nathu went back to the sweeping steps, muttering to himself. When he had finished his work, he sat down on the highest step to await the arrival of the manager. He was determined to get his pay. Who would have thought the bank would collapse? So, see, it was actually the source was Nathu himself, but he could never imagine that the word of mouth could take such an ugly turn, travel all around, and come back in this form. He said to himself and looked thoughtfully into the distance. "I wonder how it could happen. This is an irony. He is wondering how it has happened, but he doesn't know that the source is none but him only." All right. So the theme is very clear, my dear children. It is we have to be very cautious about things that we hear before conveying it to others. We have to stop and verify. We have to check, and then only should we convey it to the others, especially at times like this when so much of fake news is in circulation. All right. Also, this shows how a mountain can be created out of a mole. From a small news, such a big ruckus is being created. Okay. So that's the story. This is a very easy story, but the theme, I'm repeating myself, is very important. All right. So the boy who broke the bank, the title is very true because Nathu is responsible for breaking the bank. All right. So we'll stop here today. We'll be back very soon with the next video. Uh, I hope I've been lucid enough with my explanation. If you find this video helpful, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. You could also share the video links with your friends who would be also benefited in writing their answers in the exams. Okay, see you very soon in the next video. Till then, take very good care of your health and goodbye.